About 4 years ago, I was released from prison, and I end up in Newark because I refused to go back down to Patterson because I knew that it was a place that I couldn't get out of the habit of. And it was like if I go back down there, I knew I would end up back in jail, or even worse, I would have died. I was in Newark in the shelter about 5 months after I got released from prison. Um, Within 5 months, I was going to food pantries, to welfare, trying to find work and everything. I ended up finding a job at a delivering phone books for $20 a day. So I worked there for like 2 months. I end up about to get a solid job working in the warehouse when when I met Pastor and everything, and the day that he wanted me to come into the house was the first day that I was supposed to start work. So I had a choice to make. Do I want to go follow this man of God or go do stuff my own way? And I chose to follow the man of God. My first night there, I loved it. Like no sirens, no gunshots, nothing like that. I ain't have to worry about nothing. I ain't have to worry about people stealing my stuff. I ain't have to worry about, somebody breaking into the house or anything like that. I could actually sleep in peace. That made me feel so happy. It was so much of relief over my shoulder that I didn't have to worry about that kind of stuff no more. And to be in a place that people cares about you, and the next morning it was like a wonderful thing because people came up to me and asked me, the guys that was there already asked me, how was your night? Like, how was your bed? Is everything all right? And then didn't stop there. Like the leaders came to the house too that following day and asked me the same thing. And I was like, I ain't know, like I was lost for words, like how these people care for me and they just met me.
So a friend of mine happened to invite me to go to church, to go to the Gentlemen's Club, the outreach that Pastor Joe was doing down in Newark to get something to eat. And initially, I just went for the food. I really wasn't, too concerned about hearing anything about God or anything at that moment. Although I was raised in a church, it was, just too much to give up at the time. So eventually, I started going, and the word started to get to me, and then I saw the other guys, and I understood that I could make a change because it was representative of the people that were serving us. So I started going to the services, and again, initially I just went to eat, but over some time, man, the Spirit was really speaking to me. Like, this is the place that you need to be. But my flesh was like, no, you gotta go, don't come back. But fortunately, I went with what God was trying to tell me to do. That this was the place that I needed to be. So I just kept visiting more and more. And oddly enough, the more that I started to go and I was visiting the church, and the more that I saw how involved they were with each other and how involved they were with us, the harder it was to continue to live the life that I was living. And I made a decision one day, and I said, well, a pastor started to speak about the men's home and that he had beds available, and that these were great opportunities, not only to get myself together, but to become part of something bigger.
Honestly, my last resort was SOS. And I called Elder Rob, and Elder Rob was like, hey, let's set the interview up right now. Let's do this. And literally, I was in the house. Which when you first come in the house, you can't have any money. It's a blackout stage. You can't have your cell phone. You basically you got to surrender everything just to start. You got to start all over pretty much. So I agree with that. And I did that. Throughout my life, I was very uncomfortable with myself and what I created, which I feel like I created a mess. It was a lot to clean up. I was very selfish. I was very self-centered, always about me, everything, me. And I got, kids, so I had to come to reconciliation and find out that I don't live for me anymore. I got daughters that I have to like, you know, raise, and this is not the way to go, you know. It came down to that point, you know, that I had to think about them to fight for my life. Why? Because what is a daughter without her father? It's not good. I've seen it in the world, and it's very heartbroken. And a daughter needs her father more than I think ever. I'm sorry. I had a deep encounter with Jesus Christ. It also took me a while because I was always blaming God for the things I've done. And you know, and the doubts and why this happened and why does this keep going on? You know what I'm saying? And like I had to like let everything go. I had to like stop and you know what? Pace myself and I started reading a lot. Like I read a lot now. Before I never used to touch the Bible, and if I did, I might skim through it, you know. But now I spend more time with them, you know. And Samaritan House is not just about. It's a sober living house, but it's not just about being sober, you know. It's about walking right, you know, walking the right path.